So one of the biggest obstacles that I've found when I've been teaching people how to incorporate mindfulness and meditative practices is how do they incorporate it in their day to day, right? It's always a great thing if you can find, a weekend where you can sit out in the park and meditate for half an hour or 20 minutes. Or if you don't have anyone around you, to be able to sit and be able to get to that inner self, to use that breathing and come to that center point. Unfortunately, we don't have that time usually throughout the week because, right, we're either getting people to or from soccer practice. We're trying to make sure that we're on top of everything at our work. We're trying to get from point A to point B. It can be very hard to find that time that we're going to actually fully be mindful. And one of the things that I always suggest with everyone is that you make the time. And when I say that, it's not that you're going to get an extra 24 hours or, 1,440 minutes in the day, but you need to schedule it. You know, Usually we will not do something unless it's on our schedule. Like to-do lists help, but to have it in your schedule of, okay, this time has been allotted for that specific thing can make it a little bit easier to start to form the habit of creating a mindfulness practice. Um, when it comes to sitting meditation, especially, if you can set your calendar up to where you have at least 15 minutes in the day, whatever time, if it's better in the morning, if it's better later in the day, middle, whatever that may be, if you have that in your calendar and you have an alarm set to that, then it makes it a lot easier to give that 15 minutes because you've already put that mindset of that's what I'm going to be doing with it. Now, when it comes to, your day-to-day activities, mindfulness can be incorporated through each thing that you do. There's mindful eating, there's mindful walking, there's even mindfully speaking. And that doesn't mean having to think, to an extreme extent of what you're going to talk about, but, being mindful in the conversation that you're having with people, right? You can read the body language, you can notice what you're feeling internally when you're speaking about something or when someone else is speaking to you. And when you do that, when you are aware of what you're actually experiencing, you're actually being mindful. When it comes to eating, so much of the time we're trying to eat the fastest we can, or we're skipping meals. We're not actually taking that time to enjoy the nourishment that we're getting, right? Tasting the meal, taking a moment to savor the flavors. How many bites are you taking when you are eating? Are you just swallowing everything whole? Or are you actually able to chew on your food and notice how it tastes, the textures, all those pieces? It can be a very enjoyable thing to be mindfully eating, right? And that is another process in slowing down the day to day, right? We're constantly moving, constantly trying to get to the next thing. But if we can be present, we can start to slow down our idea of time, right? The other thing is when we're walking, right? If you have a meeting in one place when it comes to your office, are you walking? How many steps does it take to get there? Who's on the way to that meeting? A lot of times we try to multitask, right? If we're on our way to a meeting, we got to send another text out, we got to send an email out. But because of that, we miss that whole journey there, right? We have enough time to catch our breath from whatever we were doing before and really be focused on, okay, how am I feeling in this moment? Am I agitated? Am I angry? Am I happy? Am I sad? Because if we don't actually notice those things, if we don't take the time, right, to use our awareness, then we step into another meeting and we're either the one bringing the emotions, right, from the last meeting or the last interaction into that meeting, or we're not aware of who is bringing their emotions or bad energy, good energy into that meeting as well. But when we stop and take that moment, right? If you're mindful of each step you take to that meeting, if you can take a breath within each step, right? You're recharging yourself, you're replenishing. You might want to take a moment to just close your eyes even at your desk, and take in a deep inhale and a deep exhale, right? If you can close your eyes for at least 5 seconds, that's going to be recharging, replenishing, right? We're in this system where we have to be looking at computer screens on a constant, right? Our eyes are always open. They get dried out. They start to get irritated. But if you could go outside for a moment, right? Close your eyes and take a few breaths, right? And then look out and see, wow, it's a beautiful day. Start to notice how vivid the sky is, how vivid the green of the plants are. Noticing what it feels like to take in a deep inhale and a deep exhale compared to how you might have been breathing when you were going through your meeting. By doing these small things, we can start to incorporate mindfulness into our day to day practice. We just have to be aware of it. And when we're getting overwhelmed, or if we're starting to notice that we don't feel like we're in our bodies, right? To be able to get back into that, the mind body connection by breathing in deep and letting go, right? We can start to feel the oxygen through our bodies. By doing this, we are becoming a more fully functional human being, and our most of our authentic self starts to come out. A lot of times when we're these floating heads, that's where we get stuck. That's where we start having anxiety. That's where we start stressing more about things that haven't happened yet than we are focused in what is actually happening in the moment. So by taking a breath, starting to notice some of the ways that you can have a more mindful and productive day, you start to reduce a lot of those anxieties that of the things that you didn't get done.